Now we're going to move on to more
two-wheel racing.
wheel racing because the women were back. The World WCR returned this weekend. For the very first time, they were racing in France this weekend. And I will say we were in for a treat. It was so good. So starting with race 1, we actually had...
Wait, before you get into it, quickly. So if you've never watched this before, the women are on the grid. It's women racing all on the same bike. Just their own specifications. Of course, they race twice on a weekend. The races are about 20 to 30 minutes long. They're for free on YouTube. Now, before we start talking about this race, if you're interested already at this point, pause this, go and watch it, and then come back because there was some excellent racing happening this weekend, especially race 2.
Yes, specifically race 2. If you don't only want to put time into one, race 2 is the one to watch.
Yes.
You would be amiss. This is by far the best race we watched the whole weekend.
Yes,
it was so
indeed
good.
Yes,
I've made notes for race 1 and race 2. Race 2, it only says insane. That's the only note I took
because it was truly insane. So if you have 20 minutes, and I guarantee you will be able to find 20 minutes in your life.
Yeah, the YouTube video is like an hour long.
Yeah,
but the racing itself, because they chit chat and they do the grid and all the blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You skip it, you go to the warm up lab, see what the starting grid is, and then you watch the racing.
Yes.
And race 2 is
yes.
So now race 1.
Yes.
Already fantastic start because we had the one and only Chloe Jones in P1. Chloe Jones has really shown her colors this year. This is her very first season on the WCR grid. In Donington Park is really the first time I've ever actually took notice of her. She's British, so it was a home race for her.
Yes.
And she made it onto the podium, which is unexpected. If you're unfamiliar with this, it is because this tends to be a very Spanish dominated.
Yes.
The last 2 seasons at least. So it is very refreshing to see a non-Spanish person on the grid. We don't. Hey, listen, I love Maria Herrera. I love
Beatriz Nela, Sarah Sanchez, all of them.
I love them, but
it's nice to see some other people competing in there.
It's nice to see diversity in flags. Okay. So Chloe starts in P1. We have Maria Herrera in P2, and then really exciting, we have Lucy Borisseau in P3, which is she's a French driver, also for the first year on the WCR grid, I believe, and qualifying in P3 in at home is fantastic, right? And so race starts off. Maria doing her thing, right? She immediately overtakes.
And Maria also, just to say, she's currently leading the Rider Championship. She almost won last year.
She technically should. She would have won.
Yes.
If it wasn't for another rider crashing into her.
But that's racing.
That is racing.
So she lost it the last race weekend, unfortunately. Yeah. But this weekend, or this time around, she's back at the top. Her big contender right now is Beatriz Nela, who was fighting for 3rd and 4th place last season.
She has really shaped up.
I mean, she's incredibly how she has improved this year. And she's such a joy to see on the camera.
Charisma stat 100. It is completely maxed out.
Yes.
She's the, she's like the Salma Hayek of World WCR.
Yes.
It's like a person
in terms
that is
of like charm.
Exactly. She's so incredibly charming.
Yes.
And I think she's probably incredibly well liked by everyone.
Yes.
Because she just seems like such a sweet person.
Yes,
and
so
not that
sweet.
the other people are not, right?
No.
It's just that she just
it just stands out.
Yeah,
because then on the other hand, if we have her biggest competitor, Maria Herrera, is much more serious. She's very... Of course, everybody is ambitious, but she gives me more like the Max Verstappen vibe.
Yeah, she's super
She's like
focused.
no nonsense, very focused, at least while she's doing her work. I don't know her outside. We have not met yet.
We have not met yet.
But yes.
Yeah, and also someone who truly just loves racing. I mean, all of them do. But yeah, so going into race 1.
Yes.
Maria Herrera immediately has a great start. She is usually who someone has great starts. Like it's not something she struggles with. She cuts across Chloe and then takes P1. And then there's a bunch of fighting actually between, like, I would say P1 to P4. And then there's a little bit of a break off. We have then Maria, Beatriz Nela, and Chloe Jones kind of battling each other. In lap 2, unfortunately, we have Emily Bondi and I think it's Sonia Lloyd. They crash. Both of them, I think they got together. I think was a little bit more on Lloyd than it was on Emily.
Yeah, it was American.
It's American, yeah. And unfortunately, Emily Bondi ended up breaking her finger. Yes. So she was not able to participate in race 2. And then Sarah Sanchez ended up actually crashing in the same lap, but later it was T9. And she actually has a left hand metacarpal fracture. So she was also not able to compete in our race 2. The good thing is we do have about, I think, 6 weeks.
6 weeks that we're off, which is giving them some time to recover.
Should hopefully be enough time. We know that in the Iron Dames, Michelle Gatting was in a car after 4 weeks.
Yes, with her foot.
Yes, but was her right foot too, right? So this is gas and braking.
It's so, I think it's so tricky because also, you need your hand and you need
But you need your right foot.
No, of course. That's why I'm trying to decide in my head what is more important, because I'm also thinking of like Joe Shimoda had injured his hand.
Alex Marquez injured his hand earlier this year.
That is true. So it's such a shitty place to get hurt in this sport,
absolutely.
So I hope both of them will able to recover and will be able to join on the last round, because it would, and the next round, which is the last round, I think.
Yeah, it's the last round.
Because I would hate for them to miss out on it. But continue.
And then it ends up being a little bit of a back and forth with them. And then eventually Maria Herrera regains P1. And then it's kind of like Jones and Naylor are a little bit fighting. And so the end result is that
Maria Herrera ended up winning. Chloe Jones came in second, and then Beatrice Naylor came in third.
Yeah.
And then the really interesting thing about this track is also the Magny Cours track in France, is that at the end they have this chicane, and then it's just like a couple meters, and then it's immediately the finish line, which is the finish. And then
it's very reminiscent of Spa. At the end, you have the chicane,
but I feel like this one it's so short. The distance between the chicane and the finish line seems. I don't remember Spa being this close together.
It is very close.
Because because usually riders might have an opportunity, maybe slingshot right at the end, but this one, whoever leads,
or do a rundown, right?
Or exactly. But whoever leads coming out of the chicane, most likely will win the race, but which makes it also more super interesting, because that final chicane is also nuts.
Yes. And then we had in P4 Roberta Ponziani, who is Maria Herrera's teammate. She's been really struggling. She also thinks she started in P4 race 1, but then she immediately dropped to P7. Her starts and her qualifying has been not good. And then we had Lucy, the home town hero, essentially. She ended up in P5. She definitely ended up dropping off quite a bit. She was not able to stay with the front grid.
But the great thing also for this French round, we had 2 French wildcards as part of the grid. I think we had a total of 5 French riders on the grid, which was more than usual. And we also saw, I think 3 of them were in the top 10, which is really nice.
And if you think about top 15 score points, so that's fantastic.
Exactly. And then we had, of course, Lucy Bodisel competing in the top 5 even, which is excellent, because this is also really the first time I've really paid attention to her, to be honest.
This is the most amount of attention. I think she had a few races this year where she was in the top 5.
I didn't watch the first 2 weekends, so I might have missed that.
But maybe I'm misremembering. You know what? I think I'm misremembering. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really exciting. And then also having her so close, I was like, oh, that would be so exciting. Of course, like, who doesn't root for the hometown hero, So it was a bummer that she missed it in the first round, but then going into race 2, I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be her opportunity. So I had high expectations going into race 2 for Chloe, of course, also, who's now, because also for Chloe, quickly, of course, we had her in the last race in Donington Park. Was the first time we really saw her.
That was not last race.
That was not last round. Oh, no, it was the round before that. Yeah. But that was the first time I really paid attention to her. So I was like, oh, I wonder, is this just going to be like a one-time kind of situation? But then in Hungary, she was really great as well. And then this weekend I was like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting to see.
Yeah.
And then of course now Lucy being in the mix as well. So going into race 2, I had high hopes, but you never know.
You don't know, but the good thing is also because the first race is on Saturday and the second race is on Sunday. Usually they have enough time to then look at the data, see where it was losing time, so you can really shape up the second race, which does happen a lot. And you also have to be fair to a lot of these riders. I do think like Maria and Beatrice, they're like professionals, but you have people on the grid, for example, like our girl Tyler Ralph, right? She has a full-time job, and then she does this on the side.
Yeah,
she has a full-ass job, you know, that takes up all of her time. And then she also rides in this championship, and she's doing quite well.
Yeah, she's in like the top 10 usually.
Yeah, she's usually, and that's very impressive because you don't even get to focus all your time on the thing that you want to hone.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now, going into race 2, essentially insane. Yes. The starting grid was essentially the same. The way the starting grid for race 2 is determined is by fastest laps
in race 1.
In race 1. So you again had Chloe Jones in P1. Then you had Maria in P2, and then you had Lucy in P3. Then you had Beatrice Nela, and then you had Roberta Ponziani. And those bananas were bananaing.
I mean, the banana was bananaing.
That was insane. Essentially, for the whole race, they were consistently fighting with each other. They immediately they dropped off. Everything behind P5 essentially
I have no clue what happened behind them.
We didn't have time to look at it.
Because it was so intense. They went 5 or 6 wide.
5 wide, yeah.
5 wide. Yeah, 5 wide.
Yeah.
Into this, like into several corners, but every single lap. And in every single lap, the order of those 5 people changed. Sometimes Beatrice Nela was in 5th. Then after going 5 wide into that turn, she was suddenly in 1st. The Maria Herrera was in the back. It was constantly shuffling around. You didn't know what was going to happen after every single corner.
You didn't know what was going to happen. I think the first one who actually did the P5 to P1 was Lucy, going when the first time they went 5 wide.
Yes,
and Lucy
which looked insane.
Looked absolutely insane because also from where the cameras come in, sometimes it can be hard to gauge who's up front. But then all of a sudden, homegirl from P5 to P1.
But then it's also you see the camera shot, and they're all in each other's slipstream.
Yeah,
and then suddenly they get ready for the corner, they break, and it fans out, and suddenly it's 5 bikes wide, and you're like, how are they going to go into this corner? Who's taking the inside? Who's taking the outside?
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, it was hard racing, but it was fair. There was, I don't even know if there was any touching.
I feel like there was one touch maybe between Chloe and Maria at one point, but it was so fair. It was so clean. It was so hard. It was, I mean, nobody gave any concessions. It's like everybody wanted to win. Everybody wanted to have their foot on the podium.
You didn't know who was going to win this.
And literally not until the last lap, last corner, you knew who was going to take it.
And, well, actually, almost. But I was going to say also, there was a moment for a second, and this is insane for the World WCR, where if it would have ended like this, we wouldn't have not had a single Spanish rider on the podium.
That is true.
It would have been, I think it was Lucy, Chloe, and then Ponziani.
Yeah, who's Italian.
Exactly. And this is, once again, if you haven't watched the World WCR, this is like, okay, who cares? But this is not something
we usually have at least a minimum of typically 2 Spanish riders on the podium.
2 out of 3 usually. Yeah. For a long time it was always 3 on 3. Yeah. Now that Chloe is ruining it for the Spanish riders, she has been breaking that up.
Yeah.
But you usually always have 2 riders on the grid. I think we had the only Spanish riders that we had on the podium this year was Chloe and was Ponziani. Up until this weekend. So, and this was 2 different races.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yes.
I mean, the Spanish riders are dominating.
Yes.
And I mean, they're also like so strong.
Yeah.
But then Going into, I think it was the second to last lap, you had then Beatrice Naylor making the overtake.
Yes.
Able to catch, essentially overtake and go into P1. Then you had Chloe in P2. And then it was Roberta in P3. And then we had Lucy and then Maria Herrera. And then we were like, okay, if this happens, that would be fantastic for Beatrice.
Yes.
Because she needs all of those points, because she's been finishing the last 2 races behind Maria Herrera, which is bad for her in the championship because Maria's already ahead. So if you're, finishing behind her, you're losing a gap, the championship to her, or the gap. Anyways, so then... And then you're like, okay, you have 2 more laps to go, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna make the overtake? Because there's so many changes. And then fortunately, Beatrice seems to be able to carve out just a tiny bit of a gap.
Just the tiniest margin,
Just the tiniest margin. And then everything was like happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Then I think Ponziani ended up dropping to 5th place. Maria takes 3rd place. Maria takes 4th place. And then Chloe... Jones in the very last corner is just, she has nowhere to go. She essentially she kind of cuts the chicane. There was nowhere for her to go, and so she jumps. Both wheels are off the fucking track. She lands, and what a recovery from her too, because these bikes are not meant for jumping.
No,
and
I think there was definitely a high chance that she might have crashed into Beatrice.
And she jumps over that, because once again there was nowhere for her to go. Beatrice, if she would have not caught the bike and had immediate control over that, she would have crashed out Beatrice, and then Maria would have won the championship, because that would have been it. But she's able to catch her bike, and then Beatrice Naylor makes it through the finish line, finishes in P1. Then Chloe is in P2, and then we have Lucy Bodesel, the hometown hero, finishing in P3. Then race direction is like, hey, listen, you cut the corner, you're gonna get 1 position deducted.
Essentially swapping Chloe and Lucy.
But then even the commentators, they reviewed it. The commentators, obviously, they don't have anything to do with race direction, but we reviewed it with the commentators. And then the race direction actually changed their opinion, and they're like, nope, the final result is P1 Naylor, P2 Jones, and P3 Bodesel, because... And I think this is the way to almost do it, is like, you see that technically you're not allowed to cut the chicane, right? You're not allowed to cut that corner. That's not. But Chloe didn't have anywhere else to go. She couldn't go right. She couldn't go further left, and she would have cut it even more, right? There was nowhere for her to go also at the speeds. It's not like you can then all of a sudden make a right and then a left. Like, you're going to crash out, right? And then I like that they changed it back, and then we had finally another win for Beatrice Naylor. Important points that she made up to Maria, due to Maria for the first time in forever not making it onto the podium. And that cut down the championship lead down to 6 points. So that means going into the last race weekend of the year, we have 6 points between P1 and P2. And my heart is divided on who I wanted to win, because Maria... I hate to say this thing, is like, oh, she deserves it. She deserved, because I thought her not winning last year was such a gut punch. Because not that Ana Carrasco didn't deserve to win, right? Because that's racing, right? But it is so unfortunate that you were a casualty of someone else's mistake, and that cost you the championship, right? This has happened many, many times, right?
No, I agree. So now... The great thing is, for the next race that's coming up, or next race weekend that's coming up, we have a big battle in the Rider Championship between Maria and Beatrice, because there's a 6 points difference between them. And then we also have a big battle between Roberta and Chloe.
Which Chloe wasn't even on the radar
a couple
races at the beginning of the season. I thought Roberta, but then Roberta has also been her own biggest enemy.
I thought it was between Roberta and Sarah Sanchez, probably.
Oh yeah, and then Sarah obviously also crashing out, but also I think Roberta has been her own biggest enemy this season. She's many times she had bad qualifying, because she is faster than 2/3 of the grid. She can ride in the top 5, but a lot of times she has to fight her way through the back grid to make it to the front. And of course, at some point, the gap is too big, you know, because you're wasting each other's time. Obviously, overtaking, it takes more time. You're tired, so you're going to run through much further. And then, of course, because the races are not particularly long, there's only so much time that you have to do all of that.
So now there's only 3 points between Chloe and Roberta. Yeah. So it's going to be a really, really interesting round, the next and final round. Don't know when it's coming up.
I think it's end of October.
Here, I'm looking at the calendar right now.
But yeah, if you have a chance, please watch it.
Yeah, it's mid-October, 17th. Oh, of course it's done.
When you're on vacation?
Potentially, yes. Anyways, but yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that one. It's going to be a great final round for the women. Like we said, if you haven't watched it, this is an excellent race weekend to check it out, especially round 2. I don't even think, like, I'm sure we made it really exciting for you guys, our recap of this, but it won't do it justice. No. I mean, it was just so excellent. The racing is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So we went from this really exciting highlight of this weekend to, I think, the biggest disappointment for the weekend.
Yes.
Which is not due to
the
racing at all. It's due to the circumstances. As you guys know, my brother over here loves endurance races. So this weekend we had the World Endurance Championship doing a 6-hour race, the 6-hour Lone Star Le Mans,
which I don't even understand why it's called Le Mans. It doesn't even do.
It's
not even half the amount of
it's a quarter.
Yeah, it's a quarter of it. It doesn't even.
But anyway, so we had 6 hours at COTA in Austin this weekend. Yeah. We were like all gung ho about watching it live because
it's also fits perfectly in our schedule.
It's in the US, so the time difference was just 2 hours, so it's doable.
Yeah.
So we put it on a little. Oh, sorry, there was a little fly. We tune it on right at 11, and it's raining.
It's raining a lot.
Wet. Track is so wet, so it immediately starts off with a safety car.
I will say, due to them starting in a safety car, and it also looked like, hey, there's no way the race is going to start anytime soon. We ended up taking that time then to watch the MotoGP race on my laptop.
Yes.
And then they ended up, after an hour, they ended up red flagging the race. The time was still ticking down, but they were like, no racing at the moment. And then
we watched the women's race.
And then we ended up watching the women's race. And then the safety car then the race was restarted behind the safety car. Then they went to green flag racing. But then there were crashes because, like, come on, guys. Like, if you watch the onboards, like, there's no visibility. You're trying to go, like, 300 kilometers an hour in those hypercars on a track that has so much water on it. Yeah. And especially then, once there's water on the track, the curbs become they're like ice at that point. There's no grip. And so there's a lot of people spinning out, especially the hypercars. There was a lot of spinning out.
It was a little bit easier for the LMGT3s. It was also really interesting, which they had also talked about, the commentators, that in certain sections, the LMGT3s were driving the same speed.
Or some of them were faster
than the hypercars, just because the grip is so different. And also with the downforce, the height of the car and things like that. Yeah. But it was essentially every 30 seconds, yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. And then we had a safety car and then another safety car because, of course, there's gravel traps. So then they get stuck in there. Or if the car just doesn't move at all, they have to get it properly removed, which all makes sense because it's for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But it's just, in this race, in the 6 hours, we had maybe 2 hours of, like, racing.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. Yeah,
maybe. And then the last hour was getting dry. Yeah. And then, like, the last, I think it was like 45 minutes, they even had slicks on.
Yes, but the commentators were even saying the thing is, like, yes, they're on slicks now, but it makes it actually even harder to overtake because there's only one racing line, because the racing line is dry and everything else is still wet. So you having to go off the racing line is always a risk, especially because you have less grip.
Yeah.
I will say towards the end, it got really, really interesting. There was a bunch of overtakes and a bunch of change in positions. And sometimes also when you watch an endurance race, it's hard to gauge who will come first due to offset pit strategies.
Yeah, the stints, like the driver stints, and also pitting and like refueling and tire changes and all these things. And it's like you don't you can't keep track on it just by watching it on the regular screen because it doesn't show. The commentators do a good job trying to communicate it, be like, oh, this is for position or whatnot. So I do enjoy the commentators, and I think the racing director is always very communicative.
Yeah.
For example, when they had to restart the race, he said that he called out the cars in which order, so they're all immediately in the correct order. So I thought that was really cool. And just the way he communicates what's happening, I think, because I mean, it's the same guy also from Le Mans and things like that.
He does the whole of WEC.
And I do like him, and like how he talks to everybody and explains things. And he also reminds people, this is the rule. Remember, this is the new rule. So now if you fuck up, then that's on you, you know, in a way. But I mean, I think he does it the right way.
I mean, and it is the thing, like for example, the team 46, the BMW with Valentino Rossi in it, they got a bunch of penalties because they kept making mistakes, and it like that is sometimes a little bit frustrating. The Iron Dames actually refer to themselves as having a good race when they have an Iron Dames race, because that is their main focus. No unnecessary penalties, and of course no incidences with other cars, which they had this race. They actually unfortunately started in P18 because Celia Martin had a great lap, but she had exceeded track limits, which it just happens, you know. So her time was deleted, so they started in P18,
which is second to last
on the whole grid. But the exciting thing was, after like the whole safety car thing, they were actually able to finagle themselves into P7, and then they were racing in the front. There was actually times where they were like in the top 3, so we were kind of hopeful for them, but then right at the end they had to retire the car.
However, like 2 minutes to go, they retired the car. Which at that moment they were competing around like 9th, 10th. They were like falling backwards slowly. During like the heavy rain sessions, we noticed that they just didn't quite have the pace.
Well, it seems like Rahel Frey all of a sudden had a lot of pace, and then it started dropping off. And then Michelle Garding, she's their highest rated driver, she just didn't have the pace, and that's not her at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this moment we couldn't quite look it up yet. What was the because it just
race stopped, and then we started recording. But very unfortunate for them. However, super, super exciting on the hypercar end. We ended up having in first place the number 6 Porsche, woo, with the gentleman that we have actually slandered on this channel before. No, it was the right call. We didn't slander him.
No. We called him out. Like because I forgot, what did he do?
This was the week after the 24-hour race of Le Mans. There was the 24-hour race of Nürburgring that Kevin Estre, who was racing in a GT3 car. Yeah, I think so. He was in the higher category on the Nürburgring 24-hour race. He ended up making a bad mistake that ended up causing someone to crash really, really terribly.
Really badly, yes.
And, you know, people make mistakes, and then unfortunately in racing, sometimes it can be very, very bad. But we did call him out on this.
Yeah.
And this time around, they let the race come to them, and they ended up winning by 8.6 seconds, which is exciting. It's also cool to see that in third place, we had a Peugeot. And the Peugeot has been doing, I think they've been doing really well in rain races for whatever reason.
Interesting,
and I think also at the Spa race this year, they've done really, really well. Yeah. And second place, we had the Ferrari as fuck car. It's Ferrari AF, but I like to think it stands for as fuck. The number 50 car. So it was really cool. So we actually had P1 Porsche, P2 Ferrari, P3, and P4 Peugeot. Really, really exciting. Yeah. It's really awesome to see.
We did also
different constructors in the front.
Yes, and we also had some really great moments from the Aston Martins.
Yes.
From the W9 and the
especially the W07.
Seven and 009. I said W.
I said W then as well. W7, but I was just gonna.
But they had some really, really great moments. There was even a moment where we were like, "Oh, maybe are they competing for the podium?" But then I think one of them had to DNF because there was some trouble when he came out of the pits. I think that was forgot which one it was. So it was a little bit of a bummer, but it's nice to see because it's really their first big season in it again, now that they've revamped and rebuilt the car.
And I think this is the first race that they were allowed to make changes to the car.
Oh, okay. I thought it was maybe this one.
I think after 6 races or like at the 6th race, you're allowed to make changes to it. This is I think a regulation the WEC has when you join it, you have to first do a certain amount of and get the data, and then you're allowed to make changes.
Yeah.
And clearly they were able to do something with it. They were just a little bit unlucky because the 007 had to retire right after getting out of the pit, and this was literally the last hour of the race.
It's such a bummer because they were so because they've been having a good race.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Two things I wanted to bring up. So for the LMGT3, the results, the top three, we had McLaren, the number 95, United Autosports in P1. Then, very, very cool, Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
P2, the Team WRT in the BMW. And then we had a Ferrari Vista as fuck, the number 54 car in third place, which is what I thought was very interesting because we had a P1 and P2, so pole position and second place. We had actually the Mustangs. And the Mustang, especially the number 77, was driving or racing in the front for a very, very long time. So I'm very surprised to see them in sixth place.
They ended up not switching on to the slicks or something like that at the end.
It's a gamble, right?
Yeah.
You don't know, but if you look at the race at the end, especially, you can see that the racing line is very, very dry. And if you miss that window, then you're just going to lose so much time. Very unfortunate because I did think that they put in a lot of hard work.
Yeah. And one of their drivers ended up getting the Wingfoot Award.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Sosa was he was also interviewed at one point.
That's awesome.
So that was good, but it's nice to see them fighting in there too, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm I like my team for the GT3 is the Iron Dames, and then also I would say probably the 46 BMW. But it's always good to see a different competition because that's how you push each other further.
Yes.
And then I think the last thing I wanted to say is, when you think about the last WEC race, which was Interlagos in Brazil, right? This was the complete opposite of it, because in Interlagos, there was no safety car. There was maybe here and there, maybe a brief yellow, but no safety car. Everyone was on their best behavior, and my complaint was like, I would have liked at least one safety car, right? Because this is like the exact opposite of what we want. We don't want only safety cars and stuff like that. But every once in a safety car is like, it just breaks things up.
Yeah,
like
every once in a safety car.
every once in a while, a safety car is just like also puts the team strategy to test and all this stuff. So in a 6-hour race, I think it's fair to ask for at least one or two.
Yes,
you know,
100%.
But to have the none, and then to go to like 50% of it safety car, it was tough. It was at the end I was mentally checked out.
Yes.
Because like I'm not gonna be sitting like this when there are safety cars red flagged, you know. So it's a little bit tough, but we have 2 more races to go for the WC, which would mean that I think I would have watched 7 out of the 8 races this year.
Wow.
So that's very exciting. I think I missed the very first one in I think it was in Dubai.
Oh, I don't know.
It?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. But that's awesome.
Yes.
So as you can tell, we watched a lot of racing this weekend.
We did our work. Sorry, it was Qatar that I missed.
Okay. But so we watched a lot of racing, mostly good racing. It was very entertaining. It was just the Austin race was not the best. What?
2 weeks. We get Japan.
Oh, okay, nice.
September 28th, we have the next race, Japan. And then we have a long, break until November 8th, where the last race of the season in Bahrain is.
Ah, gotcha.
So, Qatar.
Alrighty.
It was not Dubai. My bad. Anyways. Wow, this was long.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here with me. Yes, it was still an exciting race weekend.
No, it was a great race weekend. I mean, you can't have all good races.
You can't win them all.
No, exactly. So, but tune in on Thursday where we'll be releasing our what to watch as per usual, so you can find out all the 10 racing events that we recommend to you for this upcoming weekend.
And then if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow on Spotify if you're listening to this. Give us a 5-star review. Only 5 stars and 5 stars. I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I need a break. I need to go outside. Bye-bye.